Liberals have to answer. Why is it that they're shutting our own youth out of jobs and replacing them with low-wage temporary foreign workers from poor countries who are ultimately being exploited? And let us say as well, the people, the individual temporary foreign workers, the workers themselves, they are not bad people. They are not the problem. They are being taken advantage of by liberal corporate elites who want to use them to drive down wages. And of course, we continue to support the dream of all immigrants to Canada, immigrants who come here to be Canadian, to get a job, work hard, contribute, and live a good life. That is part of the Canadian promise, and that is not what we're addressing here today. We're addressing a program that temporarily brings people from low-wage countries to replace Canadians and drive down the wages of our people. The time has come for decisive action to stop the Liberals from using our immigration system to pad the pockets of corporate elites and other insiders at the expense of Canadian jobs. Again, the principle is very simple. The principle is very simple. Canadian jobs for Canadian workers. Canada first, Canada always. That's why Conservatives are calling on the Carney government to permanently...
So they call on him to permanently scrub this program, and then Carney immediately is like, oh, I speak to all these business owners around the country, and their number one issue is tariffs, followed by having more access to temporary foreign workers. Yeah, because these Brookfield bros, they really want to capitalize on that cheap foreign labor that Poilievre is calling out.
I bet they love having access to workers who don't know about labor standards and whose salaries are subsidized by the government. I bet they love not having to pay a Canadian a fair wage. And look, I'm not somebody who believes that there should be a minimum wage. Actually, I feel like the market should sort of set itself, and you should be able to negotiate with your employer what you think you're worth, both them and you. I don't think, like a high school kid should be making $15 an hour to work 3 hours a week, doing next to nothing. I don't believe that. But this stuff drives wages down, and the wages are subsidized. So Canadians are paying for this twice. And Canadian kids, but also not just Canadian kids, but vulnerable people who take these entry-level jobs to actively participate in their community, they don't get those jobs either. So they're just warehoused into their homes or into some sort of program. Instead of being able to actively participate as a productive member of their community, vulnerable people don't get these jobs either. So we're hurting a generation of people, but also people who are frequently forgotten about or left behind in society in favor of a slave underclass. Anyways, let's listen to Mark Carney tell us that Tim Hortons needs more people. I've got a little strategy that I've been personally using to deal with my non-participation in this system. But let's listen to Mark Carney first.
Mr. Poilievre called this morning on the government to scrap the temporary foreign worker program. Is it time to shut the program down?
Well, I would say following, which is that that program has a role. It has to be focused in terms of its role. And it's part of what we're reviewing. It's part of what we will be discussing, how well the temporary foreign worker program is working and how our overall immigration system is working. We've been absolutely clear as a government that we want, and we're putting in place policies so that the overall level of immigration as a proportion of the population will decline from around 7% today to around 5% several years from now. Now, the biggest contributor to immigration is not temporary foreign workers. It's a variety of other factors. And I will say, je vais répéter en français parce que c'est important, when I talk to businesses around the country, particularly in Quebec, but elsewhere across the country,
Brookfield bros.
Their number one issue is tariffs, and their number two issue is access to temporary foreign workers. Okay.
Sickening.
Wow.
Et pour le moment, c'est une des grandes demandes.
Yeah, so
du
I just want to point out that this comes just a couple days after I did a report on exposing the foreign worker program for scandals, exploitation, and fraud. So if you want to go watch that full report, you can. But in there, I link to a 2021 document published by the Liberals titled, I think it was Temporary Foreign Worker Misuse. They know that this is happening. This is from 2021. So they've known for 4 years this is happening. And page 40 specifically of that document details all the ways in which wage suppression is being facilitated and workers are being exploited under this program. So there's things like coercion, work permits have expired, where the foreign workers actually are paying the employer to cover the cost of obtaining those permits. And if they don't, they're threatened with, they won't get the permit and then they'll be deported back. So there are all these fraudulent schemes happening under this program. And again, this is from the government's own report in June of 2021. They know this is happening. They've known for 4 years, and they have done absolutely nothing to stop or at least mitigate the issues that are happening here. Instead, they just continue to proliferate. And in the file of a broken clock being right twice a day, we have this post just within the last half an hour from Katie DeRosa on X. She is a CBC legislative reporter. She says that actually British Columbia's premier, notoriously far left, Premier David Eby, actually agrees with Pierre Poilievre that the temporary foreign worker program needs to be canceled or reformed, and accuses Ottawa of overseeing an immigration program that fills up our homeless shelters and food banks and takes jobs from young Canadians. There you have it. Proof is in the pudding. They've known for years, and Mark Carney is going to get up there on his little soapbox and say that, oh, businesses actually want more of this. Yeah, because they're the guys that are profiting from it. It is absolutely disgusting.
And you know what? On the theme of a stopped clock being right twice a day, back in 2014, the Liberals were against the temporary foreign workers program.
Oh yes, I bookmarked that one.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Justin Trudeau, just being the windsock of politics that he is, just whichever way the wind blows, that's where he goes. In 2014, they were calling for the end of the temporary foreign workers program. But once the Liberals got in power, they ramped it up fourfold.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, as long as Liberal insiders get rich, who cares what happens to Canadian youth? I guess. It's terrible. It's terrible. And is that really the thing that everybody's telling Mark Carney about? We need access to temporary foreign workers. Who's saying that? I actually don't believe that anybody has actually said that to him, like a small business owner. I really don't. But my personal way of fighting this is I go to Michelle Rempel's X, and she has this daily thing that she does where she tweets out jobs that are part of the LMIA program. That's the labor market impact assessment. That's the temporary foreign workers permit application thing. She tweets out jobs from jobwatchcanada.com. And then she tells you the places that are hiring temporary foreign workers. And I just make a little mental note to not go to these places.
Yeah.
If they are on Rempel's list, Sheila doesn't go, because those are places that are choosing this slave labor that hurts the slave, but also the rest of us, that is also propped up through a subsidy program. Those are employers that are choosing that. They don't get my business. I don't know how else to respond to any of this. I mean, it's up to the premiers now to say, we're not doing that here. They could probably say that. But yeah, see, a Booster Juice in Calgary wants to fill a job with a temporary foreign worker for $36.50 an hour.
So you're telling me a Canadian couldn't fill that role? Like, this is absurd.
A Canadian 16-year-old would take that job for $15 an hour. If it's a management job, $30 an hour. Easily. But they're not getting the opportunity to even apply. And if you get a Canadian applying and a temporary foreign worker applying, but the temporary foreign worker's salary is subsidized by the federal government, well, why wouldn't you take that person? There's no incentive to hire the Canadian.
Exactly.
We need to incentivize the hiring of Canadians or our permanent residents, and not this temporary foreign worker nonsense. And I'm just making it a point that before I patronize a business, I'm going to do my best to find out if they are part of the temporary foreign workers program.
And you can see the data.
Yeah.
There's it is absolutely skyrocketed. LMIA application approval rates have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Under Trudeau, who in 2014 was saying that it was corrupt. So you can, again, the proof is in the pudding. It's all there. The data is there. The stats are there. You can see it for yourself. And I posted this, this one went a little bit viral, where an elementary school in Oakville, Ontario, now it is a private school, so they do play by, some of their own rules, but an elementary school in Oakville, Ontario, I mean, they're applying for LMIA. And so they're basically saying through that application that they can't find a Canadian elementary school teacher willing to pay them $33 to $60 an hour. And so they've posted on that LMIA job bank looking for an elementary school teacher in Oakville, Ontario. And some of the responses, people are like, I'm a teacher in Oakville. I'm out of work.
Yeah.
I'll apply. I've applied everywhere. I can't find a permanent job. Why aren't they looking at the list of supply teachers in Ontario who can't get on permanently? So,
maybe,
this is craziness, what's happening.
Maybe they don't want a crazy person teacher. So they're like, maybe we can get somebody from Polk County, Florida to come work here.
Yeah, and Floridians are like, heck no, I'm
no, thank
good.
you. I'm not going to the war zone of Ontario. Yeah.